all appreciate dear Cepee Tabibian for accepting our invitation to join our call today, and we are very happy to talk about solo traveler, community building, and content creation. And it shows that how important it is to all of us. And we all appreciate all the participants and audiences who have joined us now in order to start our topic with a very, very fruitful idea. I see that dear CP is ready for joining our call, so I'm just going to invite her to join our call. They say that the audio is not that much. Yeah, now just let me. I'm just going to ask the audiences if the audio is okay. Just let me know about it. And then I'm just going to invite dear CP to our TLT show. I really appreciate all. Now I'm just going to have CP. Yeah, very good. Dear CP, we are waiting to have you now here in order to talk about your profession, your expert, and learn
Here we are.
Hello, CP. How are you? Is everything okay with you?
Yes, yes. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you very well. And also, yeah, maybe my headphone faced a problem, and the audience has mentioned that they didn't have my voice well, but now they will have it okay. How's everything with you, CP?
Everything is good, good. I'm coming to you here from Madrid. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Mohammed.
This is my great pleasure to have you also, and I really appreciate you to accept my invitation to the live talk, as it is a great pleasure. And I'm sure about it that this live will be so much fruitful, not only to me, but also to the audiences, because I know that most of them are looking forward to know how they can create content, how they could be a solo traveler, and also how they can how they can build their own communities. But before going to the live talk, I'm just going to brief you about the live talk that we organize usually. At the beginning, I should say that we have different interlocutors and audiences from Ministry of Tourism, from Chambers of Commerce, travel agents, tour operators, tour guides, hotel managers, aviation clubs. Now we have Jeremy Horner. He's the photographer of National Geography. I see him here, and also the international ones, the ones that I spoke with before, and I had the pleasure to have them as our speaker, and the other ones who are invited. Then, I should say that as you see, you can see the comments by the followers and by the audiences. But as I start talking with you officially, I will turn comments off, because I'm just going to have your visual in a good quality. The other issue is that Instagram automatically will end our call after an hour. So, with a prior notice, I myself will put an end to our interview, and then we will come back if it was necessary. Another issue is that we will dedicate a very specific time to our audiences to release their questions, and after that I will show their questions on a screen for both of us to be read and to be responded by you. I just want to ask you for one favor. Just upside down your camera in order to go like this.
Oh, we want to put the camera like this? Okay.
Yeah, it's much better.
Is that better?
Yeah, and let me turn off
Let me fix this.
Comment.
Let me fix this. I think here. Okay, can you see me? Let me go here. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I'll fix it.
Oh, my camera, look, it's tilting. Let me try to get it to be stable here with the stand that I have. Okay, let's see if this helps. Okay, I think we got it.
At the beginning, at the beginning, I should start the conversation with my surprise to my audiences. I know that you are, I know that you are an American girl who lives in Spanish, but you are somehow some percent Iranian too.
Yes, yes, salam, audience there. I will not embarrass myself with my Farsi. So, yes, so I will tell you, I'll tell the audience, because I know there's a lot of people watching from Iran. Man Farsi balad nistam. But my father is from Iran, and I grew up in the U.S. So, unfortunately, he didn't teach me Farsi, but I grew up with a lot of Persian culture in my household, and I even have been to Iran, which was an amazing experience.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you, CP. You would like to be called CP or Cepide?
You can call me Cepee. Why don't you call me Cepee? Most people call me Cepee. I tell them Cepee rhymes with Peppy, but Cepee is a difficult name for so many people that I keep it short, but you know how to say it and your audience understands it, so let's do Cepee.
Okay, Cepee. Cepee, is it possible to give us a complete introduction about yourself, your background, your profession, and your expert?
Yes, yes. So thank you again, everyone, for viewing. I even see some of the people I know. I saw them coming through from my followers. So thank you for viewing today. Yes, so my name is Cepee Tabibian. I am originally from Houston, Texas. That's where I grew up, and I now live in Madrid. I moved to Madrid about 5 years ago. And when I moved to Madrid, my background was more in traditional marketing, and I came to Madrid really to teach English, not because I wanted to, but because I wanted to move here, and it's difficult for an American to get a visa. So I came here to teach English, but wanted to find a way out of that. And that's how I stumbled into social media marketing, which is what I did maybe for the past 3 years as kind of, as my full-time job. That's how I made money in social media. And I self-taught, and I really built my skills when I started my own blog. So I started off, started learning about blogging, social media, and I was able to use those skills to find remote work and find a way to make money from that. But at the same time, I started building communities. And I just found out over the past 3 years that community building is really what's at my heart. I love people. I love creating spaces of value. And so I spent a lot of time in my free time building communities. The first one is called the Madrid Blogger Network, and it's the biggest community here in Madrid for bloggers and content creators. It's both online and offline. And then I created my second community, She Hit Refresh, which is now my business. And that's a community for women aged 30 and over who want to change their life in a big way through travel. And that means women who want to move abroad or quit their job and travel full time. And so now, She Hit Refresh in my business. It's not my full-time job yet. Hopefully it will be. That's what I'm spending a lot of time to grow it. We are profitable, but not at a point where I can quit my job. So now I have moved away from social media. I work consulting clients on community building, and I spend all my free time community building with my own communities.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much, Cepee, for such a fruitful introduction about yourself. As we talked, you are now the founder of She Hit Refresh, and I'm following you on that project too, and I see your activities on that. Would you please give us better ideas about She Hit Refresh and Madrid Blogger Network in detail?
Sure, definitely. So I'll start with Madrid Blogger Network since that was my first community. So that really started out from, like I said, I started a blog in 2016 or 17, and it was just a hobby, a blog to teach people about the different vegetarian restaurants in Madrid. But I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't a blogger. I just kind of started it and was learning on my own from all the resources online. But like I also said, I love people, and I really wanted to learn in person. So that's when I thought, let me start a Facebook group for bloggers in Madrid, because I had searched and there wasn't one. So I thought, why not me? Why don't I start one? And so that's how it started. I wanted to bring together the different bloggers in Madrid to learn and grow from each other. And the idea was really just to kind of meet and sit around a table and talk. But we grew into a really polished community, which is what we are now. We just celebrated 3 years this year. And so we meet once a month in person and have guest speakers come to talk about all different topics, from SEO to podcasting to creating Instagram posts to YouTube to everything, how to become a better writer. But we're also very active online. We have a Facebook group that anyone's welcome to join. You don't just have to be in Madrid. And we really, it's not a Facebook group where there's a lot of self-promo and we're selling each other. It's really a Facebook group for resources to help each other understand how to best navigate this world of blogging. So that's Madrid Blogger Network. She Hit Refresh is the second group I started, and the group that, that is a business now. She Hit Refresh, as I mentioned earlier, is for women age 30 and over. And why we chose that is because, there's a lot of resources out there for women who are younger, but I wasn't finding resources for women of, of my age and older. And so that's why we started this community, was to help women who wanted to make that big change. So it's a online community of over 5,000 women worldwide, and we're there to support and inspire each other because, we found there's a lot of communities out there for women who maybe want to travel, solo travel, but it was more for temporary short-term stuff, and our community really taps into women who want to do something long-term. So moving abroad or quitting your job to travel long term. There just weren't resources out there for women of a certain age. And also, we found that in a lot of societies, a lot of places, women who want to make a change later in life maybe feel that their ideas are crazy because people around them haven't done what they want to do, or people don't understand the desires they have. And so there's not really a place where where women can be open and really express these crazy ideas of wanting to leave their city to move to another country. And so we wanted to create the space for that. And so that's what She Hit Refresh is. And we help our members not only through the community, but also we create a lot of content. So we have a blog, a podcast. We were doing in-person events before Corona, and we also do annual retreats. And we've gone to Morocco the past 2 years to bring women there.
Yeah, I see how hard your job is, because it's really hard to find girls over 30s.
Well, it's not hard to find them. There's a lot of women over 30 who want to do this. And so our job is to find them so we can show them, like, we are your tribe. We are here for you. You're not alone. There's a lot of women out there who want to do this. We're just trying to gather them all together so we can help them.
Yeah, I see that. But most of the girls prefer to deny that they're over 30s.
Right. Well, I am trying to normalize aging. Age is nothing to be ashamed of. And so really that's what I love about our group too, is I'm very open about my age. So for your viewers, you might be shocked. Hopefully you're shocked. I just turned 40 a few weeks ago, and I'm very open about talking about my age. And in the community, it's a safe space where we can talk about our age from a perspective of empowerment. Getting older is nothing to be ashamed of. And with our age, we have gained wisdom. And a lot of us, have a different type of freedom, maybe financial freedom, that allows us to do things that we weren't able to do when we were younger in terms of traveling.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments and for the responses that you provide till now. And I really enjoy the idea that you've provided us. You've talked about working on different social medias. You've talked about blogging. You've talked about building a community. I'm just going to go to the first clear issue. Cepee, what does content creation mean to you?
Oh, that's a great question. So content creation, I think, at the heart of it is just creating something for your audience. And I'll keep it vague like that, something. Content creation can be good content and it can be bad content. Not all content is equal. And content creation comes in many different forms. Content creation is not just writing a blog post. But for me, I really focus on content creation that brings value to my audience. So I'm all about not wasting people's time. If I'm going to create any type of content, I want it to serve a purpose for my audience. And also, if you are a brand or a business, whether you're a personal brand or you have a business, your content is a reflection. The content you create is a reflection of your brand. And so you have to keep that in mind as well. So content is anything that you're creating, but I think we have to be quite specific. And really, if we are a content creator, focus on value first.
Thank you. But the value that you mentioned, we have different types of contents. For example, inspirational contents, engaging contents, selling contents, and other options. I just want you to go into details.
Yeah, so the content that we focus on She Hit Refresh, well, I mean, with my first blog, my content was just to educate. So yes, there's all different types of content. Not all content is about making a sale, especially if you're starting out and you're not selling anything. Although I would encourage people to think about, like, what can you sell? We all have certain skills that we can turn into something that can make money. If we're going to make content and spend a lot of time in that, it's really great to have some kind of call to action or some kind of conversion along with it. So that should be like a long-term thinking plan. But in the beginning, I created content just to educate. I had a lot of information I wanted to share, and that's what I would create content for, educating through writing blog posts. But as I've matured as a content creator, and my business has, we focus on using different mediums. So social media was a place that we could create content, and not only written, but then visual. I really like the camera, and so I like to make content that is visual, like videos. And also, I love sharing other people's stories. And so we got into podcasting. That was a platform as well that we could create content on. But also our content is not just educational, as you mentioned, inspirational. We create a lot of inspirational content. Everything from, just sharing a quote going on Canva and creating a nice background and putting a quote to it. That's content we create in our platform that people, come to our community because they want something positive. They want to be inspired. But also, in addition to educating our community and inspiring them, we also create content to sell. And right now, our biggest product that we sell, or has been, now everything's on hold due to Corona, was our retreat. And so I created a lot of content built around telling stories about this retreat so that people would be engaged and want to sign up for it.
Thank you. Cepee, I just want to ask you how me and my audiences or whoever are looking at the contents all around the world, Instagram, Facebook, I don't know, whatever, websites, how can we understand that this content is inspirational or that content is educational, that one is engaging? Are there any clear facts about?
Yes, well, one, I would say know your audience. If you don't know who your audience is, it's going to be really hard to really get clarity on where to start and what inspires them, what would be educational for them. So know your audience. Because I know my audience, I know what makes them move, how to inspire joy, how to inspire them. I know that. I know that educational content comes from the questions they ask. So if you know your audience, for example, I have a community, and so I listen to see what kind of questions they ask. If they ask a lot of questions about how to find remote work so they can quit their job, I know that's educational content right there. I can write a blog post about where to find remote work. But also, I can turn that into inspirational content as well, knowing that I work remotely and they may aspire to be where I want to be. So I can write a blog post or maybe do a Facebook Live, inspiring them by sharing my story. If I want to sell something, and like I said, if I want to sell the retreat, I have to take a different angle to that. And so I will create content based on that. So I think you have to know your audience, but also follow other people. I think for me, it really helped to consume other people's content in the beginning to really understand how they position their content for those different buckets of inspirational, educational, branded, and selling.
Yeah, thank you. I've got two questions in my mind. The first works as an umbrella to the second. The first is that how do you share your posts, your blogs, your contents? And I just want to ask it as a second question that how do you find your suitable social media or maybe your websites to share the content that you have created, the inspirational ones, the engaging ones, the selling ones, the brand posted ones? How do you understand that? How do you share it?
Got it. Okay, so the first question, sorry, what was the first question? How do
you find the suitable social media?
Oh, okay. So again, it's knowing your audience. I think everything when you're coming from a place of content creation is knowing your audience because that's going to guide you. So for me, we know all the major platforms out there, right? LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, now TikTok. And so I know for my demographic, it's women over 30. So let's say my target audience is 30 to 50. My women are going to be active on certain social media platforms, and Facebook is one of them. And so I definitely want to take advantage of that. Also, we're talking about women who want to quit their job to travel. So I know these women are employed and they are on and they are on LinkedIn. But also this is a demographic. I just know because, if you do research on social media, you will start to see what demographics are on which platforms. I know my women are also on Instagram. So those are kind of the three places I'm to focus my energy. Twitter is not a big one for us. My demographic is not as active on there as the other platforms. And also TikTok is quite new. While there are, TikTok skews quite young, and also Snapchat, I'm not going to spend a lot of time creating content for there. So I think that's number one. Know your audience, know where they are, and then go all in on there. And sorry, what was your second question?
How do you share your content? As an example, just think about it. Cepee has chosen Instagram as the main social media, but how do you understand that you should share video or writings or photos or I don't know, whatever?
Yeah, so I think number one, go to where your strengths are. So now, like I said, we have evolved, and so now we're at a point where we balance or we juggle the different types of content. Written, audio with the podcast, we do video. Because we're at a point where it makes sense to diversify. But in the beginning, I would say keep it simple and work towards your strengths. So if you don't like video, if you're very uncomfortable, if you're not very animated on video, maybe video is not for you. Even if your audience would like it, maybe it's not the best place to focus your energy. So know your audience, know your strengths, and then also what are you capable, like we only have so many hours in a day. For me, we started off a blog post because that just made the most sense, because we do want to get traffic to our blog, because we would like to have advertisements on our blogs in the future so that we can make money. So there was a strategy behind why we chose writing on a blog. I would love to do YouTube. Like I said, I love video, and I think our audience is there, but I don't have the time or the skills to be creating YouTube videos and editing right now. And so I'm going to put that to the side. So I think it's a balancing of, first, starting off simple. When you're starting off, pick one or two platforms. You know, consider the other platforms as you grow, but keep in mind your audience, where they are, and your skill set.
Thank you. Thank you. Because my next question is supposed to pass content creation. I'm just going to have a summarization by your speech. At the beginning, you said that we should know the audiences. Then you should know that we should clear out what types of content we're supposed to produce, and each one of them has its own clues and facts. And then we should understand what our audiences are looking by the type of the social media that you're following. And then we should look at our strength to understand what we can do with high quality. For example, if we do not have enough time for trimming videos, put it away, let's go on your strength. And finally, let's make them engage.
Yes, I mean, that's all, I think that's the root of content, which I think I forgot to mention, is you just want to activate people. You want them to engage, and that goes back to knowing your audience, and everything that you create is to provide value for them. Because one thing I say often, a quote that I love, is when you create value for others, when you create value for your audience, you create value for yourself.
Cepee, I just want to ask you this question that, do you take a content creator as a blogger, or no, it is different?
Oh, can you reframe that question? I'm not sure I quite understood it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that a blogger is a person who creates contents fruitfully. Am I right?
Well, a blogger is anyone who's creating content. It doesn't always have to be fruitful, you know, because some people just want to express themselves. There's not really an end game to it, so maybe they don't have that much strategy. But I would say a blogger is anyone who's creating written content online.
Because nowadays we see that a lot of people with proud call themselves bloggers, but they do not. But maybe they do not know that blogger is not that much important. To be a professional content creator is the fact. In a professional manner, I mean. Would you gave me introduction that everybody who writes or everybody who produces are blogger, but a person who produces professional contents is a professional content creator.
Okay. Yes.
And you are a content creator who is also a blogger too.
Yes, I would agree with all of that.
You would agree with all of that. Do you see Cepee as an influencer?
Okay. So I mean, I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with that word, just because I don't feel I'm at a scale where I would consider myself an influencer. But if I look at my audience for She Hit Refresh, I know I'm definitely influencing decisions that people are making with their lives, because they let me know what the value that my community has brought them. They let me know how we've played a part in their decision making and how they've changed their lives. So if we just look at the root word, have I influenced people in their decision making in their lives? Yes, I have. Would I consider myself an influencer? Probably not yet. That just does not, I don't know, doesn't sit well with me. I don't feel like I've achieved that status yet.
Yeah. Cepee, I just want to ask you this direct question. Is the meaning of influencer, is the meaning of becoming an influencer related to have thousands of followers, or no? Just to inspire people rather than attracting them to follow you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, you know, when we use the term influencer, probably our first thought is somebody who has, you know, thousands of followers, millions of followers, you know, works with brands and really is well known in the influencer sphere. But, you know, like you said, you know, at the root of influencer, it is someone who maybe is impacting or inspiring others, because you can make a difference and you can be a micro influencer within your community, within your industry. You don't need to have millions of followers. One, to make an impact, or two, to even work with brands. You can have a really niche audience that is impacted and influenced by the content that you're creating.
Great. And the question come here that how to become an influencer, by the real meaning of an influencer. We've talked about content creation, we've talked about blogging, we've talked about Cepee as a person who believes herself as an influencer by her definition. And how to become an influencer, Cepee?
Yes, so how to become an influencer on the big scale, that I can't coach anybody on because I'm not there yet, so I haven't done that journey. And I think to become a big time influencer, that has to be your goal. You really have to make decisions that are in alignment that will get you to the next level. And that hasn't been my strategy for my business. I'm not trying to be an influencer, although I am influencing people. So to become somebody who makes an impact and who influences an audience, which I would consider something that I do, although I don't have millions of followers, I would say it goes back to the two things. Sorry if I sound like I'm repeating myself, but these are really the core of content creation and influencing people, is knowing your audience and creating value for them. Because if you know your audience, you can create that value. And when you create that value, you reinforce that relationship, and you can really grow your audience and create a bond and a trust that will create the influence. And that's what, if you're trying to build a business, that is where you are really going to have success, when you have things that you can sell. Or if you're trying to work with brands, they don't need an influencer that has millions of followers. They need an influencer who has a very loyal audience.
Such a question you've arisen in my mind. Cepee, how do you make loyalty for your followers?
That's good. I might have to think about that for a minute, but the first thing that comes to mind is authenticity, which is a word that is overused now. Everyone, be authentic, show your authentic self. But for my audience, that has worked. And that wasn't particularly a strategy from the beginning, like, oh, I have to be authentic with everything. I just, created, when I say my audience, I'm really talking about She Hit Refresh. I brought most of myself to my audience. And so they could trust me because I was very honest with not just the great parts of my life, but also the challenges and the struggles of my life as well. So I think authenticity is a great way to build trust, and trust builds loyalty. I think also in the beginning, if we haven't talked much about creating communities, but when you create a community, you do not want to be a salesperson. To build trust, you do not want to be pushing products at your people. You want to give them a purpose to be in your community and build value that doesn't involve you asking them for money. Maybe eventually you will, but in the beginning, you want to build trust on other, you want to build trust that's not based on money, and through that, you can build a lot of loyalty. Once you build that loyalty is very fragile. Loyalty is, linked to your reputation, and you can lose that very easily if you try to take advantage of your community.
Yeah, I should say some issue. I'm really, accept my sorry, all the Islamic followers who are following us, and I'm drinking sometimes a cup of tea. It's not a tea, it's a mean herbal bee because of my stomach. And this is just a kind of herb rather than drinking. But I'm respectful to all the aspects of all religions. I've asked all these questions to come here. Before that, Cepee, I appreciate your humbleness not to consider yourself as an influencer, but you are. But anyway, I just want to say that blogging, content creation, being an influencer, or all these issues. And you talked about loyalty also. I see that you gather together with your followers. I see that you travel with your followers. I just want to see, rather than creating content, rather than blogging, what do you do to keep your followers, your audiences coming with you?
Oh, I love this question. And I like it because my answer will be, that it's not about me. For our community, we are a community. So not everything that we create is created by me. So we leave a lot of space for our followers, for our members, to also share their stories and help each other. And I think that is a core reason why we have such a strong following, is that it's not a group that revolves around me and my story. It revolves around the community stories, which makes people feel very connected. And connection is what humans are after. And so for, if you think about it, a woman who's living in a city somewhere in the world who feels like her ideas to change her life is crazy and nobody she knows, her family and her friends understand her, to come into a space where she can be around 5,000 plus other women in the world who understand her, where she can share her story and read stories of theirs, and it feels instantly connected, that builds loyalty to our brand. And I don't even have to do much work to build that. I'm just creating a space for them to share. And so I think we haven't talked much about community, but that's the power of community and how you can really build loyalty.
Creating space. How do you reach that, Cepee?
So you have to start very scrappy, humbly, and start it without the expectation that you're going to make money. So if we talk about community building for a little bit right now, creating the space, I think you need to come from an authentic space or an authentic place for this really to connect with people. So community building is about creating a space for people to connect. Your initial driver should not be money. Maybe you can make it down the line. And so you have to think about it again. Why do I want to create the space? Where am I going to create it? And how am I going to start it? And if we think about where we want to start it, usually communities come from some kind of problem that we personally want to solve. And so in my case, I wanted to meet other women like me who wanted to make a change. I already knew some women who either had done what I had done or wanted to do that. So probably if you want to start a community and create a space, you probably already know some people who have the problem that you're trying to fix. Start with those people to start your community. But you have to be very humble. In the beginning, you're not going to have 1,000 people join your community. A lot of communities are built on word of mouth. And so start with who you know, and then you can start building from there.
Great. Rather than contents, rather than blogging, and I see the space that you have created for your audiences and followers. This is my last question on this topic. Give us any ideas that you think comes fruitful in order to build communities. But in Iran, I'm just going to direct these questions totally to my country. It is very hard to find solo traveler communities. It is really hard to find people who are gathered together as a community, community of people who work like you, to inspire others. We have people who are virtual influencers on Instagram, I don't know, with thousands of followers, but as far as I know, there aren't that many inspiration, there aren't that many engagement. It's not just only about Iran, it also talks about all around the world. But I just want to ask you this question at the rather topic. How to build a community as a general idea, any left ideas that you're supposed to give us? Thank you.
Yes, I love this question. And I think, there's always room in the market for somebody else. So whether there are communities or there aren't communities, I think what really, and so that means that you don't want everybody to be your audience. So maybe if we're talking about solo travelers, maybe you don't want to create a community for solo female travelers. One, those already exist. I mean, you can compete. There's a lot of them. Like I said, you can go where there already is an audience. But what I found and what I see with communities is go very niche. What kind of solo female travelers? Is there an age group that's going to define this demographic? Are they married women? Are they unmarried? Do they go to a certain country? So is it solo female travelers to Spain? Go niche is something that I think can really bring some uniqueness to your community, and it really makes it very clear who you're serving and who you're not serving, which is very important in community. Communities will not want to serve everybody. You want to serve a very niche audience, and I think you can find a lot of success in that.
So great, thank you. As you yourself has shaped your own community, I just want to take this question in terms of you yourself or even other communities, general idea. How has COVID-19 affected your community dynamic?
Did you say how has COVID affected the community dynamic?
Yeah. How has COVID-19 affected your community dynamic?
Yes. Oh, wow. Okay. So if anyone out there is watching, I wonder if COVID has affected you guys. it has, yeah, definitely affected our community. So our community is based on travel. And so, so given that no one's traveling right now because everything is on hold. Actually, I'm so sorry. Can you guys, I'm just going to walk and talk because I think I have a unexpected delivery at my door. So I'm just going to let them in while I do this. I apologize for that. Here, we're going live. You're going to hear me speak Spanish. See, diga? Vale. Okay, sorry about that. So for our community is a community of travelers and no one's traveling right now. And so in our community, people are always asking, or they were asking, a lot of questions based on travel, sharing their dreams to quit their jobs and move abroad. And we noticed that with COVID-19, that all of a sudden, people stopped really engaging in the group. The content that was created by our community just stopped. And so we were smart and kind of went to where the conversation was going. People around the world started talking about remote work a lot because a lot of companies and governments required people to work remotely. So we started creating content around remote work. We were able to pivot. But I noticed that all the content in my community was created by us, by She Hit Refresh. And with a community, you want user-generated content as well to keep it fresh. And so really just last week I thought, how can we get over just creating our own content and get the members engaged and get them asking questions again? And so we came up with a little campaign that actually has been very, very, very successful, where we just started a hashtag that was hashtag share your story. And we ask our members, for women who have already hit refresh, and I don't think I explained what hit refresh is, but hit refresh just means a woman who has, decided to make a choice to change her life. And we asked them, share your refresh story. Share your story of before you hit refresh, how you hit refresh, and your life now. And so it was just a way to get women to share a picture, share their story, and get them talking. And, I just looked at the numbers. I think when COVID hit, we had about 1,000 active members in our community. We're a community of 5,000. And now, I just checked yesterday, we have activity of almost like 3,500 members. So we were able to kind of combat the lull of our audience engaging by just kind of thinking of a campaign to get them talking.
Great. Thank you. Cepee, I just want to say that we are in COVID-19 era. Mm-hmm. It could be an awful situation. Also, it could be a golden opportunity.
Yes.
How do you provide content for your audiences, for your followers during COVID-19 in order to let them dream about their wanderlust?
Yes. Yes. So I love this question. I think, one of the things goes back to kind of said how we pivoted. So maybe we're not writing as much content about how to prepare for your refresh because people aren't ready to start preparing yet. There's a lot of uncertainty, but we've pivoted our content to talk about remote work. Remote work is a way that women can untether their lives so that when they're ready to travel, they can. So we're helping them with that. But also, we are creating, as a business, we're just rethinking of how we can serve our audience. Maybe we're not going to have another retreat this year. We wanted to have a retreat in October in Spain. It's probably not going to happen. But we can still serve that same purpose of the retreat by taking a portion of that online. And so women come to our retreat to gain clarity. We have workshops. And so what we're thinking of doing in June is taking one of those workshops and offering it online as kind of like a 4-week course. And so that's a way that we can still serve our audience. We can actually serve a greater audience because our retreats, we only are able to take 10 to 14 women. But if we take a workshop online, we can help thousands of women, and we can also make a profit, and probably more of a profit than we would have with the retreat. And so we just have to think about, again, going back to knowing our audience. What are they dealing with right now? How can we help them? That's, what we're doing. And so I think you just have to know how to pivot, and that just, comes from listening to your audience.
Thank you. Thank you, Cepee, for such a response. In 5 minutes, we are supposed to have the audience's questions. So the audiences, I really appreciate you to send me your questions in my question box. I will share the questions on the screen, and then Cepee will see the questions, and after that, she will come up with her fruitful responses. Cepee, I'm gonna keep going, asking my questions till 5 minutes later for the audiences. Are you a member of your community or the leader of your community?
Oh, good question. And thank you for all the hearts coming through. We see them come through. Thank you. This is such a great question because it goes to kind of the heart of what I really stand by for community. So I am both. I am, I'm the leader in the sense that I steer the ship. I set the tone. I am a very active manager of my community, but I'm also a very active participant. If you want to have any success as a leader in your community, you must be an active participant. So when I pose questions to the community, I'm always giving my own opinion too. If I ask women, I don't know, what's a challenge that you've had lately? I don't just sit back and let them answer. I also share my story with them. And so that's going back to building that loyalty, that trust. So I'm a very active member in the community, but also a very active manager as well. And I think you have to be an active participant.
Yeah, on the basis of this LiveTalk, I see you an energetic member and helpful leader. Yeah, that's right. What advice do you have for those? Yeah, let me change a little these questions. Any way you make money?
Yes, great question. So I said, She Here Refresh is my business, but it's not a business that I make my full-time income from. So we make money from our retreats. We make money, I do online coaching, so one-on-one coaching with women. And this year is when we were really going to elevate She Here Refresh to the next level. Oh, and we make money through affiliate links also. But we needed to expand our scope in order to make even more money. I would like to do She Here Refresh as my full-time job. And so what we have planned for 2020 are, we want to serve our audience. And so we have an ebook that's going to come out, the online workshop that I was talking about. And that won't be one-on-one coaching. That'll be kind of group coaching. And and then the retreat will have to be again next year.
But let's put it through a big scale. How communities can come into business?
Yes, great. So once you have a loyal following, and loyal following we're not talking about numbers. We're talking about people who are your cheerleaders and loyal and there for you. You can have a loyal following with 50 to 100 members. You don't have to have thousands of members. We had a very loyal following in the beginning with just about 100 members. So I think you need to build the trust, number one, build the value. If you're not offering any kind of value, you're never going to turn this into a business. So focus on building value in the beginning. You're going to build value through free content. So you're going to have to spend your time and not make any money in return building free content, whether that's a blog post, whether those are just Facebook posts, whether it's Instagram posts, whether it's a video, podcast. Build free content, build value that way so that people know like, wow, this person is giving me a lot of free stuff that's really great and making an impact for me. You do that so that when you offer your paid content, they're like, wow, if this free stuff is so great, imagine how great their paid stuff is. So when you get to a point when you're ready to create paid content, you need to know your audience. What do they want help with and how can you help them? And so you need to get clear on that. There are different ways you can do that. You can offer paid products. Like I mentioned, you can create an ebook, an online course, online coaching. You can create a membership site. So maybe She Here Refreshes on Facebook and it's free, but maybe we want to do something where there's more exclusivity, where we offer even more value, and we're going to, have a paid option for people to be a part of a community. You can, like I do, run retreats. A lot of time communities, people are there to connect with each other and they love to connect in person. So why not have some kind of in-person event for them where you can make money? Again, this is when the world goes back to normal. Right now, that's not happening. But you can do this virtually as well. So like an online workshop, as I mentioned. So those are just some ways that you can eventually turn your community into a business. But it's all based on building value. People are not going to pay for something that they do not understand how it brings value to their lives.
Yeah. This is my last one, and then I will go to the audience's questions.
Great.
The community that you've built, it is the intercommunication between you and your audiences, or no? You, your audiences, and audiences themselves with each other.
Yes. Oh, is that the question? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So in the beginning of a community, you have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. As a community builder, in the beginning, your number one job is to, well, other than creating value, is keep the momentum up. So in the beginning, community manager, you have to be creating content, curating content, making sure everyone feels seen and heard. You have to keep that momentum up. But at some point, there becomes a critical mass where the community is really pushing that as well. And so that is what makes it a community, that you as a community manager aren't this dictator of the community. You allow and you create the space where that the audience, the members themselves, are creating value also, just by sharing, inspiring, and helping each other.
Yeah, you've raised another question, but I'm not going to ask it because I'm
Oh,
just
okay.
going to dedicate
Are you
this
sure?
time. Yeah, I'm just going to dedicate this time to the audiences because I was supposed to ask you what is the difference between manager, influencer, leader, and dictator through your community, but maybe later. But
Okay.
we can upside down. We can upside down the camera
Oh,
because
the
when
camera.
I share the questions, it comes like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Just put
Okay.
your
Is that good?
face upper than the questions. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, wait.
Your
Hold on. Do I
future
need to
plan,
lift?
please.
Am I okay here? Am I okay here?
If you come a little, yeah, great. Now it is
Higher?
great.
Here?
Yeah, it's
Is this
great.
good?
It's great now.
Okay.
Your
My
future
future?
plan, please.
Oh, I love this. My future plans. Okay, so for 2020, coming into this year, I had certain plans before COVID-19. And so I've had to adapt those given that people aren't traveling. Because right now, the most of the money that we made from a business perspective was through the retreats. And this year, we were going to have not one, but two. But I can't do those anymore. So my future plans, and this is from a business standpoint, one is to launch my ebook this summer. And the ebook, just to let you know what that is, the ebook is about the best places in Europe for Americans to move to. And that's because a lot of our audience is in the US, and the question constantly comes up from Americans of how can I move to Europe and where should I live? So the ebook is a big one. The online workshop or online coaching course. And as soon as we can travel again, we're going to have the retreats happening again. So those are my future plans for the business.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate our audiences to send their questions in English if it is possible, because when you send me with other languages, I should translate it to Cepee. Also, I cannot share it on a screen. I really appreciate all of you to send your questions, if it is possible, in English rather than French and Persian. Okay.
Oh, do you have French speakers watching? I mean, you can try to send it in French. We'll see. But
Yeah,
preferably
yeah.
English.
Cepee veut parler français, yeah?
Je parle un petit peu.
Yeah, but let's keep it in English because our audiences, would love it in English.
Okay.
Before next questions, let me share this idea from Nasreen. Thanks for the inspiring talk and for those great tips.
Thank you, Nasreen. Thank you. Merci.
Nasreen sent us another idea. Would you share the links and addresses of your communities on Facebook? Yes, of course. Cepee will share all their links with me, and I will share all the links on TLT show. And after that, all our audiences will have the access. But please, Cepee, if there are any possibilities or any special directions in order to get connected with you on Facebook and website and Instagram, because I know that you're also a LinkedIner too. Let's share all these ideas with me, and I will share all these fruitful links with the audiences. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Fabulous. Yes, I would love to connect with anybody out there, especially the audience in Iran. I'd love to. So I'll definitely supply those.
Yeah. Let me give you a brief description before coming to this question. I know that you're somehow engaged with Iran, especially since some days ago that we've managed each other to have such a interview with you. But Nasser asked us, which platform gives us the chance to our community to engage with one another? Nasser, if I understood well, you're supposed to build a community in Persia, in Iran. But if you're supposed to talk about building a community here, but attracting foreigners, please give us a better idea. Till now, I will ask this question by Cepee.
So again, communities can be created on all type of platforms. So not just limited, and I don't know how much access, I had talked to Mohammed a little bit about this, about what kind of access you have in Iran. But communities can be created on all types of platforms. I would say Facebook is a very popular one for a certain age demographic. But people are also creating communities on Instagram. Oh, it says attracting foreigners on Instagram, on Slack. Also, I don't know if you use Slack in Iran, but there's lots of platforms. For me, I think the easiest is on Facebook. And okay, so your question was attracting foreigners. People have different opinions on Facebook, but you know, what is it? I don't know, 2 billion, 3 billion of the world's population is on Facebook. So if you have access to Facebook, I think it's a great way to reach people. And while people may not be using Facebook personally, people are using Facebook for the groups, for community. And that's a place where you can find people from all over the world. And you don't have to do so much, I guess, searching for them because they're already on the platform.
Thank you, thank you. I should tell you that as we talked with each other before, Slack is under proxy in Iran, but most of the people use all the softwares which are under proxy. Yeah, you know, they use Facebook, they use other platforms. So Nasser, you can use Slack, you can use other platforms that Cepee mentioned. There's another question that I'm supposed to share it, but I know that the person who has asked this question is now at the university class. But at the university class, she's watching our interview, you know?
Ooh, aha, love it.
Yeah, Ziba.
Ziba.
Which country is pioneering content production and in which platform?
You know, I don't actually know. I don't have data or stats on this. My guess, and not because I'm American, but my guess would be the U.S. only because, you know, we have a very large population, and the U.S. is an early adopter, especially with community building. But in content creation, I think the U.S. is an early adopter in a lot of that. I would say Asia too. I mean, we've seen with TikTok that came out of Asia. But I mean, just as a guess, I would say the U.S., you know, there's a lot of known influencers that started in the U.S., but while they're influenced all over the world, I think maybe the U.S. would be pioneer. I don't know. Do people have other opinions out there?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But I have a good news for our audiences, and I know that you know him, you know her, Cepee. On May 20th, our speaker will be Janet Seja. Yeah, as we talked, but this is another... Yeah, from your nationality, she's an American.
Yes, yes.
Please let me go through the questions, you know. Can you make a ranking of platforms?
You know, I don't think I can because the platforms really depend on your audience, on their demographic, the content you're creating. You know, for me personally, for my audience, which is a demographic of, you know, a certain age, let's say 30 to 50, female, for me personally, the ranking of my platforms, #1 is Facebook. #2 is probably a tie between Instagram and Pinterest. #3, I would say LinkedIn, but that's just because of my demographic. You know, if you are, you know, creating very visual content, like my content is about travel, Instagram makes a lot of sense for me. If you're creating, I don't know, if you're talking about really technical content, maybe Instagram isn't going to rank high for you. If you're trying to target teenagers, Facebook is not going to be the platform for you. So I think you have to know your audience to be able to rank which platform is best.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is a good question. They all are perfect, but this one is something, you know. Thanks a bunch. But why the community focus on up 30 women? Is it a special? Why not up to 40?
Thank you, Mariam. Yes. So this is a community that is for women over 30. So you have to be 30 and over. And really, that was because we noticed that there was a lot of content out there for women who were in their 20s, who were still in university, who were maybe taking a gap year. There wasn't a space or content really for women over 30. So women who had more established lives, women who were dealing with different kinds of challenges, women who maybe, you know, our content was really our community is really geared for women more in the Western world who maybe are getting married later, who don't have kids, who maybe are, you know, at a point in their life in their 40s and 50s where they now find themselves divorced. So their issues were a lot different than someone in their 20s. And so we really wanted to make that like line in the sand. Like, we are dealing with women who are of a certain age, who are dealing with certain challenges that someone in their 20s just won't get, who isn't at that stage of life. Also, were already a lot of online communities geared toward women in their 20s. And so we wanted to really focus on women who were older, I would say, women in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and even 60s and up. So that's why. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. So Peter, I've gave a huge comment to the one that you said about aging, but I just want to say, Mariam, if you're supposed to build a community in Iran, let's build it for under 30 because no one joins for over 30.
Is that true?
It is just no, that was just a joking in order to provide an idea to Mariam. But Mariam, I know that she's a very active tourism influencer through her own activities. Yeah,
Thank
Cepee.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, Cepee. We have 5 minutes to finish our
Okay.
live talk. I just want to hear more about you or anything that you think are left out of our communication. I really appreciate you. Whatever you like, you know, it's your tribune to make it.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, again, thank you for having me on, and thank you to everyone for joining. This has been so much fun. It's been such an honor to be here, and the time has just flown by. There are some resources I would like to share. Of course, Mohammed's going to share my contact details with you, so I'd love to be in touch. But also, if anyone's interested in starting a community, there are some resources out there, and one of them in particular that I'm involved in here in Madrid, there's a chapter here for a community called CMX Connect. So CMX is a global community for community builders, and they have chapters around the world. And I actually think there is a chapter in Tehran. So if you can, look for that. It's a community for community builders, and you can be at any point in the process. You can just be curious about starting a community. You can have a community. You can have a very established community, but it's just a place to meet with other people so you can learn and grow, bounce off ideas, and maybe even start understanding like how you can start your own community. And these are professional communities, communities for hobbies, and all kinds of platforms. So if you're looking for more information, there's really resources online. Number two, going back to community and even content creation, both of these things you're playing the long game. So don't give up too early. If you're starting a community and you're noticing in the first X amount of months that it's just not going the direction you want to, don't give up. Try to evaluate why it's not working and pivot. Things take time. The same with content creation. If you're creating content on different platforms and you're noticing that you're not getting the engagement that you want, or you haven't reached the followers that you want, just try to evaluate how you can change things. And don't give up. Play the long game, because anybody who is successful in this, whether they have become an influencer, whether they've created a business out of it, is somebody that has been in it for a long time. The people who maybe seem like they, were able to become an influencer or to make a business very quickly, those are very rare. The people who are in here for the long run are the ones who get success.
Thank you, Cepee. I show my respect to the audiences who have sent their questions to mine, but I haven't shared it because I found that some of those questions were asked from Cepee, and Cepee came up with answers to all of those. So yeah, that's great. That's great. That's great. But let me say one of others audience's queries rather than a question. She asked if there are any books or if there are any ideas. Would you please share it with us? Let's share it with me.
Ooh. I'll just share it right now. This book, The Art of Gathering. So if you're into community building, read this book.
Cepee, I should say thank you to you. I should say thanks to Cepee today. The Cepee, my colleague who brings me mint herbs to me during the time of the talk. I really appreciate her. I appreciate you, Cepee, for accepting my invitation. That was my great honor to have you here. And I really know how busy you are. You are busy up twice in years, but you have accepted my invitation to join our live talk. It is my great pleasure to have you here, and that was very, very thoughtful about your responses. I really enjoyed. Thank you so much. Have a great time. Wish you see you soon.
Thank you so much. It was an honor. I enjoyed it. Thank you, everyone, for watching your questions. Thank you for having me on. Khudafis, everybody.
Yeah,
bye.
Bye-bye, Cepee.
Ciao.
Hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I really appreciate all our audiences to join our live talk. I really enjoyed your participation, your questions. It was a great honor to me for having you all here, and I'm hope to provide you with better lives in order to engage more professionals to our community in Iran. And this is my great honor to have you all. Thank you. Have a good time. Bye-bye.